Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be reading this Reddit post titled C as my main language. I think this user is asking whether or not they should use C as their main language, alright? And towards the end of this video I'm going to show some clips from a person named Dr. Chuck. You guys have probably heard of him before. But before we get into that video, let's read these comments, okay? And then let's see what Dr. Chuck has to say about it. Hello, I am deeply learning C language and kind of feel I'm in love with it. I am 21 and finishing comp engineering faculty in 3 months, soon to go find a job. So here's the thing, I want C to be my primary language. Of course, I will learn C++ and an ASM if needed, but can it be so C language is main language for the job so no other languages will be tied to my primary one? Also, question. I know C is not dying, but is it worth to master only C in the next few years instead of learning Zig, Rust alongside? Very interesting question. It's very legit. C is a very simple language. Don't worry about mastering in C or any language. What you really need to master are the concepts rather than the language itself. A few years is more than enough to learn how to apply your knowledge in both C, Rust, and Zig. And this person replied to the other person, don't believe this guy. Yes, number of features of C is not much and easy to learn, but getting familiar with C ecosystem is not easy. You need to learn and decide which tool will you use. You need to be familiar with different kinds of C compilers as well. There will be lots of unknowns and options. This guy doesn't have any idea about neither Zig or Rust. In Rust world, it's a sin to use pointers native, but as you know, C can't be thought without pointers. When you learn a new language or learn more than one language, it affects how you think, how you design your API code. My suggestion is to stick with the language, excel your skills, then if you want to start to explore alternatives. And this person backed this other person up. This is one of the biggest truths that people ignore. Each language has its own paradigm and the right way to do things. You don't use Zig or Rust like you use C. Hell, you didn't even use Zig and Rust in the same manner. Master one language if need be, switch to another, and start understanding the new paradigm. With you, you shall carry multiple paradigms, and you will create your own unique way of bringing the best of all those paradigms in whatever language you work with, or just using different paradigms for different languages, which is the best case. Yeah, a lot of information to unpack here. Yeah, they're correct. Yeah, C and Rust and Zig, yeah, they're not used the same way. I've never used Zig or Rust, but I've heard about it a lot. And just stick with C, okay? Before you learn any other language, just stick with C. Sigh, I feel your pain here. C feels like it has a target painted on its back, which is now woefully unjustified. So one thing that could happen is that the committee keeps iterating on making it better, and the compiler makers keep on holding to spec, and everyone notices, and then it gets accepted by everyone almost as a new language. But that seems more unlikely option. Much of more realistic is that the governments and idiotic commentators continue to deride it, and most of the great populace continue to vibe their way on some other languages. Is Rust good if you vibe with it? I haven't tried. So on my advice, I've got 45 years experience of programming and the IT industry now. It's to not try to master just one at this stage, but learn 4 or 5, including very different ones. Learn some COBOL, learn some Rust, learn some OCaml, even JavaScript. It's another fun and safe language. Knowing a bit of everything and some things really well has really helped me be a better programmer. Of course, AI bots might really change things, and then obits are off, I guess. Really good information, guys. Yes, very unlikely. People who accept a new language already have many to choose from, depending on what they think would make C better. People who want classes and templates and lambdas and Rye and everything else but the kitchen sink, with even the kitchen probably coming in some future standard, have C++. People who want simplicity and constraints but also want GC and a packer manager have Go. People who want to purge as many of their flubs as they can at compile time, even if they need to fight a borrow checker, have Rust, and on like that. I don't see a scenario in which any language is accepted by everybody, but the improvements that would make C acceptable to people who don't use it would probably alienate the people who do. They'd have to start automating things away, and the reason to be using C is you don't want that. I agreed the same person can be a C programmer, a Kotlin programmer, a C++ programmer, or whatever, depending on what they want, need, or are required to use for a particular task. It's useful to know that the common ways of doing things in one particular language are not the only ways to work. Let's read this guy's comments. I am the guy who is excited about defer being added to C so C can still adapt. I had a choice a few years ago whether to go to Zig or continue with C, and for various edge cases reasons, I chose C. It does feel like my choice somewhat vindicated right now, but still, I basically agree with you. Okay. Let's continue here. So, C as my main language, correct? C is a little more difficult to learn object-oriented programming, but it's great for DoD. It's heavily prevalent in the kernel development and embedded systems. Linux is all in C, but it's impossible to interact with Mac iOS APIs without Objective-C, Swift, or Android without Java Kotlin. Fortunately, despite documentation, Windows API is exposed in C. While you can compile to WASM, you need JavaScript and HTML to run it. Really, you should learn some JavaScript since you can't touch the DOM without it. Can't say that about Linux anymore. Some of it's in Rust now. Oh, that's true. Linux implemented some Rust into their APIs. I would say that it's quite normal to have these feelings when you start to grok something. The skills you learn are transferable, so no worries. You're not going to make a career of just being a C wizard, though. The developer mindset is what makes you valuable. If C is the best tool for the job, then great, but often it's not. So I recommend you keep an open mind and learn about a lot of stuff. Writing the code is just a small part of most projects. Actually understanding the problem before just coding away is what makes you a valuable long term. Right, that's true. You're gonna hear what Dr. Chuck has to say right now. C is standardized language. C is a standardized language. Rust and Zig are not. C will be alive for much longer than Rust and or Zig. With C, you can write a code almost every hardware platform. With both Rust and Zig, you can write only for hardware officially supported by the only one and corresponding compilers since they aren't standardized. However, there's nothing preventing you from learning some other language. Syntax is not a big deal, and you can improve your programming skills via learning different programming languages. So that's what I'm looking at, right? Learn different programming languages. But start with this high level one, either JavaScript or Python. You'll hear Dr. Chuck right now. I might get some downvotes here, but C++ and Rust will have mostly similar performance than C, but are far more expressive. As someone who writes both C and C++ professionally, I'd always pick C++ over C unless I have some restriction where I need 100% ASM predictability. Okay. Let's see. Alright, I think we're done with this. Let me see. I'm mostly a hobby programmer. Me too. I'm a hobby programmer. But I learned C++, object-oriented composition, and so on, and almost got a weird kind of brain fire. I was in the middle of a chrono nightmare with gazillions of scope resolutions operators. Then I saw this video, Keynote, the tragedy of C++ X1 and 2, Sean Parent. Alright. I did small CRM databases in C++, including a simple GUI interface, and have now made the big rewrite in C. It's much easier to navigate in the C code, at least for me. Alright. the top number commenter. Look for jobs in your area. Look at what employers are asking for. And let's read the last one, all right? Sorry. Let's read this last one right now. C is indeed a beautiful language. It is simple and allows you to experiment and try things out without getting in your way. I know people who work in C exclusively, as the other mentioned. C is very far from getting replaced by the trendy languages. It's not the first time this happened. I would say learn both. Learning C gives you great understanding about the underlying hardware, so C++ for us in SIG should not be an issue for learning. What jobs are you currently targeting? All right. Okay, now let's go to the video I promised you guys. Let's see what Dr. Chuck has to say. All right. Let's see, Dr. Chuck. Let me mute my. All right. I like what he said right here. Watch.
Hey everyone, it's David Bombal back with the amazing Dr. Chuck. Dr. Chuck, welcome.
It's great to be here, David. I've been looking forward to this for as long as since we did our last recording, last interview, because I've been building this course for 4 years. And
I've heard you say this is about the best programming language, right?
Well, I'm not sure about that. I think that what this is about the programming language that you should never write any code in, unless you're writing some weird microcontroller or something.
So he's talking about C right now.
I really have come to learn something. This class took me 4 years, and I've really learned that.
You know what I forgot? Okay, I'm dumb. Name me. All right. Sorry, hold on, guys. Hold on. Just give me a second here. My bad. All right. Just give me a second right here, please. Okay. Oh, there we go. That's me. All right, let's start again. So they're talking about C right now. It's a language that everyone should learn but should not use.
C is probably the single most important programming language that anyone will ever learn, and it is the programming language that no one should ever use. And so that's kind of an interesting irony, because I have been thinking a lot about the difference between a junior programmer who can kind of cut and paste things and fix syntax.
Yeah, junior programmers do copy and paste, right?
Syntax errors. And a senior programmer who can see sort of through the mists and see what's really going on and be that senior developer. And when there's a problem or when there's a performance problem, they sort of have a sixth sense that allows them to see inside.
So to answer that Redditor's question, well, he was asking if it should be his main language, and this Dr. Chuck answered it beautifully. He said, you should learn C, right? But you should not program in C, but you should learn C. I'll make you a better programmer completely. I'll set you apart from the other people, right? I'll set you apart from the copy and pasters and ChatGPT users, right? You'll be your own kind. You're a different breed. If you know C and you master C, right, you're a different breed. Let's see what else he says.
What's going on beyond just, I wrote this code and it seems to work, and yet. So I keep thinking that this course is the step from.
Okay, now I watched this whole entire video. It's an hour long. It has like very interesting information. Let me see if I could okay, or let me see. I think it should be here.
Languages. You are sure of what's going on.
This is quite a change from what we spoke about last time. And
perhaps
you can just revisit it for people who haven't seen it, our previous videos, because you got the master.
So I guess in his other video, and in some other interview they had, his path to being a master programmer for Dr. Chuck, right? His path to a master programmer was to first learn Python, and then some other languages, and then C should be like the fourth language you learn. But now he came back, and he's walking it back, and he's saying that Python should be your first language and your second one should be C.
Programmer. And if you can just explain that concept, and then I've got it written here, like 10 courses that we mentioned last time. It was Python, Django, PHP, and then SQL,
Python,
and then C.
Django, PHP.
But you've changed that.
I have changed that, right?
He changed it.
And so the path to the master programmer in short is the idea that I want to create a set of courses that when a student completes those courses, PHP, as you mentioned, SQL, and
So
now C.
that's what his first.
And I thought that C
PH,
was like the beginning
Python,
of the more
PHP.
advanced phase of this master programmer, but now I kind of think it's the second class in the path to the master programmer. And then you take like a class like Django and you're like, whoa, object oriented, I get it. So all of a sudden everything you're doing in Django, you're doing it from a much stronger position. And so it's not that I don't like any of those courses that I have, and they're still in the path to the master programmer.
Yeah, there we go.
But the C class,
I like this.
Is it just a better understanding how programming works? Is it object-oriented?
Okay, so now I like
Object-oriented
this.
programming. What am I getting? That's the difference between those two. And why don't I just stick with Python, perhaps?
well, if you take a Python class, you can be employed. That's what I'll call a junior programmer,
So he's saying that Python should be your first language, right?
And there are lots of people that
That you
do
could get
pretty well as junior
employed
programmers, and they go to
really
Stack
fast.
Overflow and Chat GPT and paste a few things in and get the work done that day, and they move forward. But there comes this moment where you get stuck. If all
Right,
you know
you
is
get stuck.
Python and all you've done is kind of basic Python
felt that
stuff, you get
with
stuck where
JavaScript,
you got to
not
go find
Python.
somebody senior, right? Someone who's done a lot more. And the question becomes, especially for companies, how do we get people from this sort of junior level to senior level? And
How do you move from being a junior to a senior?
we're pretty good at making junior level programmers these days with things like Coursera, et cetera. But then how do you make senior folks? And that is where the C class comes in. So one of the things I'm trying to convince companies who have found the Python class really useful is that the C class is even more useful, because it's going to take your current employees and it's going to up their game, and it's going to give them the necessary tools to kind of grow from junior to senior and go from just, you got a bunch of junior programmers and they're doing a bunch of stuff.
So there you go, guys. This video is really good. It has a lot of information. You should go and check it out. It's titled "Free Complete Course You Need to Learn This Programming Language to Be a Senior Developer" by David Bombal. Pretty amazing stuff. Pretty amazing facts. So using C as your main language shouldn't be a thing, right? Because unless you're working with hardware or something, but people don't build servers with C. I believe it's very unsafe. Maybe C++. I'm not really that sure. I'm still learning also. So Python should be your first language. My first language was JavaScript. So similar, not really. And coming from JavaScript to C, I feel like it's improved my programming logic and thinking. And now I'm gonna learn C. I'm gonna try to master it, but I don't see myself using C as a main language. I just want to learn it, and then maybe move to Python or something. Honestly, I just want to do game development, so I don't know what's next. I just want to concentrate on C right now. I don't want to rush things. I just want to take my time and learn it very well. So anyways, folks, that was it for today. I appreciate you watching this video. If you could just give that like button a smash and subscribe to my channel, that'd be awesome. All right, have a good one.